Right, we are going to create a web server using MooServer in Java, package it as an uberjar, and run from the command line. So let's get started. It's very simple MooServer. There's just one dependency. I'm going to copy that now and then pop over to IntelliJ. We're going to create a new project. It's going to be a Moo uberjar, so let's call it Mooba. I'm going to use Maven, Java 21, and we create the project. Right, here we are in our POM where we can add dependencies. So I'm going to paste that in. Let's make sure IntelliJ knows about that. And we can see it here in our dependency list. And we should be good to go. So we've got a main method here. Let's make sure we can run that. Hello world. Hello world. Okay, let's replace this with a MooServer. So we're going to create a MooServer object. To do that, we use the MooServer static method, which gives us a builder. We specify the port we want to listen on, for example 8080, and then we have a number of handlers. We've got a resource handler builder, and we can point to a file path. So let's come over to our resources directory. We're going to create a new directory for our website. Let's call it web. Let's add two files. The first, HTML file. Okay, hello world. And let's just add a style sheet. Let's call it app.css. Gonna put it in the same folder. And let's make a background color of antique white. Okay, nice. So we are now ready to expose this directory from our web server. I'm going to copy the path to it. The relative path from the root of the project is source main resources web. Let's copy that. And I can just paste it in there. And then we start the server. And that's that. Let's just print the URL of the server. Say it started at server.uri. Let's see what that looks like. We can ignore this error message for now. Let's open this and we've got hello world. Okay, next up I want to package this into an uberjar. What is an uberjar and why? Well, it is a single file which contains our compiled Java code, all the dependencies, and any resources such as our HTML. Because it goes into a single file, it's very easy to package and run and copy and deploy other places. So I always prefer using uberjars. There is a plugin called the Maven Shade plugin that we can use in order to create an uberjar. It's going to do most of the work for us, but we need to define a build plugin. Now this is a little bit of a tricky one, so it's definitely a copy and paste job. You'll be able to copy and paste this from GitHub. It's linked in the description. Okay, so the Shade plugin, when we run Maven package, it's going to do this shade goal. Again, don't need to worry too much about this, except we need to tell it where our main method is. So if I type main, control space a couple of times, it has found it there. Right, now from Maven, either here or the command line, Maven package, we can build an uberjar. Let's pop over to the command line, and we are in Mooba. It's created it in the target directory. And this is our uberjar with everything in it. You can see it's about 4.5 megabytes, so not too large. If we have Java on the path, we've got Java 21 there, we can just run it with Maven minus jar and then the file name. Okay, but it fails because our code is pointing at the file system, but an uberjar is a single file. This directory does not exist when we run as an uberjar. What we need to do is run this. We need to load our files from the class path. In a Maven project, the class path by default starts at resources. So really we want to expose /web on our class path. And we can do that very easily by using a class path handler, /web. Okay, let's package that again. And come back here. Let's java -jar the file again. This time it started. And if I refresh, it's still working. This is now being served from our uberjar rather than the file system. There's one little problem though. Let's stop that server there. When we are running during development mode from our IntelliJ. So if I want to make a change now, let's add a paragraph. How's it going? Okay, and I refresh, nothing happens. Because it's loading from the class path, it doesn't get refreshed until I restart the server, which is rather annoying. So what we want to be able to do during development is load from the file system, and then when we package as an uberjar, we want to load from the class path. Okay, this is very easy. We can replace this once again, and we can have a file or class path. So if there is a directory called source main resources web, we're going to use that. Otherwise, we're going to use /web from the class path. So let's load that again. Okay, let's change the background color to, let's see, cadet blue. That'll do. And now we can refresh files without restarting our server, which is good. And let's just double check that it still works from the uberjar. Okay, so java -jar, and there we go. Okay, one final thing before we go. Let's have a little look at what is inside the uberjar. So jar files are actually just zip files. We can see here our compiled class file of our Java class. We can see the classes from our dependencies, which includes things like mooserver, among other things. There's a little bit of metadata, and then the files of our web application. And that's it. Doesn't get much easier than that. I hope that was helpful.